Hello, everyone. Welcome to the event. If you're coming in, we're going to give it a moment for people to log on. So I invite you to be patient for a moment. Jay? Pardon me?
Can you hear me on the
No, you're going to get promoted in a second, okay? And then you'll be able to speak, okay?
Okay, good.
Bye. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Canada-Europe Business Opportunities for NGen members. Thank you for signing up for this event. We have a full agenda for you today. We're going to start with some remarks from Jason Myers and Rob Sinclair, and then followed by EU innovation priorities and programs. As you can see, it's a pretty full schedule, followed by key market presentations. I'll give you 5 minutes each. You can see the various countries we'll be doing there. And then we'll be following up with the Trade Commissioner's Regional Office, Surah. And then time allotting, we will have a Q&A session at the end. I invite you to put your questions at the bottom of the screen. You can see the Q&A box. You can put your questions in there and we will do them at the end. I want to invite Jason Myers. He's a CEO for NGen to give us a few words, and go ahead, Jay.
Thanks very much, Frank. And I just want to say welcome to everybody. I hope you're keeping safe. As everyone knows, Next Generation Manufacturing Canada is the advanced manufacturing supercluster for Canada. A very important part of what we're doing is promoting Canadian capabilities, but also identifying opportunities for innovation partnerships across Canada, around the world. And business opportunities, commercial opportunities for commercializing technology and for finding technology as well that can upgrade the capabilities of Canadian companies. So I'm really looking forward to this webinar, and I want to thank everybody for who is participating today. I have a great job, and just happen to know just about everybody who is on this call, and I want to thank you all for taking the time to give us a briefing of what is going on in Europe today. I think as everybody is aware, as we all struggle out of the pandemic and into recovery, that Europe has a great deal to offer the world in terms of advanced manufacturing. And I think Canada has a great deal to offer the world and to Europe as well in this area. So really pleased to have everybody here. I'd like to introduce Rob Sinclair in particular. Rob's the deputy head of Canada's mission to the European Union, and couldn't think of anybody better to kick things off. Rob.
Thanks, Jay. Bonjour tout le monde. Good morning, good afternoon, bon après-midi to everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here today. Thank you, Jay, for your role in helping to put this together. And I'd also thank Fred Fournier and Stéphane Lambert and all my colleagues from the Government of Canada side who are contributing to this really great event. Obviously, we're very pleased to partner with NGen on this webinar discussing business opportunities in Europe. Canada and Europe have a rich history of collaboration, and Europe's the largest trading bloc in the world, and so it's a priority for us. Europe's also at a real turning point, as we all are, in our response to the COVID pandemic. It's looking to build back better, and it has several what we could call man on the moon missions to do so, decarbonizing the economy, agriculture, and society and how they're powered, boosting connectivity, automation, and the adoption and use of artificial intelligence, and building new or reshoring industries and supply chains in key strategic sectors such as health, batteries, semiconductors, and green technologies. And to achieve this, Europe's looking to partner with trusted partners such as Canada on a number of fronts, whether in fundamental research, technology development and demonstration, or through supplier arrangements and business partnerships. So in that context, Europe clearly offers a lot of opportunities for Canadian companies. And one of the things that I always stress when I participate in these sorts of events is the fact that we are so closely aligned on the values side of things. We share similar values, and we also have similar objectives. So we've got an amazing foundation on which to build. And just like Canada, we're looking at tackling these huge challenges such as climate change or recovering from COVID in a sustainable way for the long-term survival of the planet. We're looking for tangible results that improve the quality of life of our citizens. So it's not just the what, but it's the how that are so closely aligned that really position us well to work with the EU. And a proof of that is our comprehensive trade agreement that we have with the EU, CETA, which is in the process of being ratified by member states. And that agreement's a model for many other countries looking to develop the same sort of relationship that we already have with the EU. CETA provides Canada with preferential access, as I said, to the world's largest trading bloc and second largest economy, and our second largest trading partner after the US. So in addition to collaborating on policy development, we also work together in many sectors and industries such as digital, space, agriculture, energy, aeronautics, environment, and health, just to name a few. And our levels of research collaboration are growing as well. We have mechanisms for clusters to work better together, and our value chains are getting more and more integrated. So with that, now is the time. I'm the booster I'm the deputy head booster for Canada-EU relations. So now is the time to reach out and really start thinking about Europe as your next partner. And we're here to help you to do just that. So with that, over to you.
Thank you very much for those comments. I invite Frédéric Fournier. He is going to do our next presentation.
Hi, yes, good morning, everyone. I have a very long minute and a half to tell you what I want to tell you. So let's get started. So research and innovation. Europe just launched its new funding program for research and innovation this past month in January 2021. It's called Horizon Europe, and it has a very large budget of 95.5 billion euros. This funding program is fully and directly managed by the European Commission through its DG Research. So other than the fact that Europe is even more open to international cooperation, a key novelty under Horizon Europe is the creation of partnerships. So the objectives of those 49 partnerships is to bring together partners from different spheres to work on common innovation projects. And they also cover all topics you can think of. So the partners involved can be European or non-European. They can come from industry, they can come from universities, research organizations, public organizations, government departments, you name it. And the added value of those partnerships lies in the fact that they bring together a broad range of different actors looking to solve global challenges with concrete solutions. So we're not really talking about research here, but solutions that will make an impact on a citizen's life. And since those challenges are global, well, there's quite a wide range of them, as I mentioned, and they are obviously of interest to Canada as well. So here I'm talking about health, climate change, cleaner transportation, smarter city management, sustainable energy production, et cetera, et cetera. So again, there's a wide range of sectors Europe is interested in collaborating with Canada. Another interesting option for Canadian cluster members is to partner with Europe through the Cluster Collaboration Platform. That platform is web-based. It is maintained and managed directly by the Commission, this time through its DG GROW. So DG GROW is the equivalent of ICED. Their focus is really to develop the European SMEs. So the domestic objective of the ECCP platform is to support European clusters in the development of their networks, locally and internationally, and their ecosystem. So for Canadians, what's interesting is that since 2018, ICED has an MOU with DG GROW to promote the cluster-to-cluster collaboration. So this means that this platform, the ECCP platform, can be used by European clusters to connect directly with international partners, including Canadians. Currently, there's 11 clusters in Europe that are interested in targeting directly Canadian partners, and in a different number of sectors. So there's a list on the slide here, a list of sectors, and those are the priority sectors that Europe is looking for partners for. You also have a link on the slide. That link will lead you to the actual platform. The database is searchable, so it's easy for anyone to find out which European cluster is interested in working with Canada. And if you need assistance, please let me know. Do not hesitate to contact me directly. We're there to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Frédéric. I would invite Wolfgang Wittke. Just to mention, we will be making this slide deck available afterwards. I'll mention that a little later. Wolfgang.
Oui, bonjour. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, depending where you are. My name is Wolfgang Wittke, and I'm working for an organization, Hi Jay, a very good friend of us. I'm working for an organization which is called Eureka, about which you will hear now a little bit. And I will first present you what this organization is and does, more or less, and then my Canadian colleague Melanie will present you what Canada is doing in this environment. Eureka is an intergovernmental global network, which means it is a network of basically funding bodies which belong to governments. These funding bodies are coming today from 45 countries, so it is officially located with its office in Europe, but it has 45 countries around the world which are members now. Singapore will be joining this year, and there are most likely 2 additional Western Balkan countries which will also become full members this year. So it's a global network of funding bodies where each country finances its own participants to do different type of research and very close to market innovation projects. if I could have the next slide, please. You see the reach out of this network, and this network has different what we would call instruments, or you could call it funding programs, to which the different countries participate. You will learn about this in more detail when the Canadian colleague will speak about the Canadian engagement, but to broadly give you an idea what these 4 examples of programs or funding lines that I have proposed are. We have cluster projects. These are large-scale projects with consortia of 5 to 10 different organizations from different countries, and where a lot of big companies are involved. We have the classical network projects, which are projects that at any time can be proposed bottom-up between 2 organizations from 2 different countries, and are often a little bit smaller projects compared to cluster projects. Then we have a third line, which is called Eurostars projects. These are projects which are very much devoted to the SMEs, and the SMEs are in the lead of these projects, sometimes jointly with some research performing organizations. All these projects are cross-border projects, what we are talking about. So at least 2 organizations from 2 different countries. So for example, 1 Canadian SME and 1 European SME, and maybe a Canadian or a European research performer, depending on the composition of that consortium. And finally, the 4th and last major action line or program of Eureka is Global Stars. And these are projects created on the basis with 1 specific country around the world. For example, we may decide to do a call for projects with Japan. Japan is not a member of the network, but we may enable the members to do projects with Japan. So each country can contribute to a specific call, which could be even on a specific topic, where each of the projects would have 1 Japanese partner and 1 partner from anywhere in the network, from any country, which is willing to put money into such a call. On the next slide, you will see a little bit an overview on the main technological areas in which our projects are running. You see it's very technology oriented. Clearly ICT and telecommunication is number 1, but also biological science and the bioeconomy is a very important area similar to ICT. And then you see a third important area is related to industrial manufacturing, material transport, and energy research. In my last slide, the next one, you see a little bit what concerns SMEs, what are typical examples of small companies and how do they participate in the Eurostars program, which I just presented for small businesses. What you can maybe retain as one of the most important items is that more or less 1/3 is the success rate. So 1 out of 3 submitted projects are selected and financed. You see the dimension of the program, the public funding is more than 600 million euro over 7 years. We are talking here now from 2014 to 2020. We are not fully at the end of the program. You see that about 3,500 applications have been received, nearly 1,000 have been granted money. You see that 10,000 applicants have submitted and about 3,000 are in the project. So 1 out of 3 consortia is successful. And the typical SMEs, what do? They are less than 50 employees. More or less half of their work is dealing with research and innovation. And you see how they are participating in such a program. This is the overview of what Eureka is, and I would like now to hand over back to the Canadian colleague to present the Canadian stance on Eureka. Thank you for your attention.
Great. Good morning, and thank you for the invitation to participate. So I'm Melanie Cullins with the National Research Council of Canada. The NRC has a national footprint and more recently an international footprint, including a presence in Munich. We essentially have 2 core functions. One is performing research and development, and the second is working to support high growth potential, innovative SMEs through advice, networking, and funding. Next slide, please. So IRAP is seeking to help grow Canadian SMEs. More recently, we have taken on a bigger focus on international. And what that means for us is really working with SMEs to help them to accelerate their access to international markets and global value chains through co-innovation. Okay, so working into those global value chains and markets. We provide two core services related to that. One is working very closely with Global Affairs Canada on bringing together potential partners for co-innovation projects. So we're convening different players working through Eureka, working through other instruments such as the Canadian International Innovation Program with Global Affairs Canada and administering the Can Export Program. So once again, across the board with that, two key things are the partnering opportunities we can offer when you're looking for a partner, and then secondly, support putting in place co-innovation projects and sometimes the funding related to that. Next slide, please. So with respect to Eureka, you've heard from Wolfgang already on what Eureka offers. We are still relatively new in this game. We joined in 2012, Canada joined. Canada has a national membership, an associate membership into Eureka, which means that any Canadian innovator has the opportunity to participate in a project, in an eligible project. Our main focus is on supporting SMEs, but we do keep a door open for any large firms, universities, and others that may wish to participate. So since 2012, we have supported over 163 projects under Eureka, and they're worth about 400 million euros. So within this, there's an opportunity by engaging in co-innovation to reach out to new partners, new networks, secure market intelligence, business intelligence, as well as, in many cases, direct linkages into co-innovation projects and future markets. Our key partners to date have been Germany, the UK, France, Spain, and others, but Eureka, of course, opens doors to well over 40 economies. So I think on this next slide, please, I'd just like to highlight a few of the areas where we've been most active from a Canadian perspective. And currently we're working on network projects. They've already been highlighted to you by Wolfgang, but I would just say in this, it's very much a bottom-up tool, and network projects are open at any point in the year for consideration. Eurostars run in a similar manner, a bottom-up, non-sectorally focused open competition for co-innovation projects. They have 2 calls a year. One of the main differences with Eurostars and network projects would be different participants from different countries and different types of funding rules. So on those, what I would say is get in touch with us and we can help you to navigate for the right tool for you. The third one that I want to spend a moment on are Eureka Clusters. Now, these are different than geographic clusters. They're, of course, really supply chain actors coming together across a number of different countries on thematics that are of interest to them. And they convene each year the different members of their community, and it's industry-led with large firms, small firms, universities, and research institutes coming to the table to look at larger, longer-term projects. And here we are also taking on a role from a Canadian perspective. There we are active in a number of different Eureka clusters, and we've been continuing to look at new ways of working with the clusters, including inter-cluster calls on different thematics. So here again, I think just to wrap up in a short time frame, I would really encourage anyone who is interested in looking at engaging through co-innovation to get in touch, and we can walk through all the intricacies of Eureka, the different opportunities, and help you to navigate and meet partners through our convening events. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. We're going to go on to the key market presentations, and we are going to start with Stéphane Charbonneau and Austria. Stéphane. Stéphane, are you there?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, no problem. Go ahead. Thank
Good.
Good. Sorry, get all my things in a row. All right. So Austria, not the biggest market to start with, but if we are the market where your niche is and your partner is, then we're the only market that you need. Austrians businesses are leaders in industrial machinery, often, as I said, in niche areas. Very much like the German model, they will make these widgets or things in small towns, but they make the best in the world for what they're doing. And so those companies are important, and they're big exporters and big researchers. Austria has been very active in EU Horizon projects with Canadian partners. And in fact, the Austrian Research Agency is chairing the Eureka program for 2020 and 2021, and we have good contacts with them. voestalpine from Linz is an Austrian company who's actually an NGen member. I was pleased to find out. We're a small team at the embassy, 3 trade commissioners and myself. So we do really focus on niches where Austria leads or Austrian companies lead, often with better technology than what we find in Canada. So we're often the demandeur in these relationships. But also areas where we see great potential with Canada. So in automotive, in case, in hydrogen, wood construction, and green building, those are the 4 niches that we work the most in, where we see the most potential for partnerships. So we're happy to work with you on opportunities. If you know that your niche, your area, or your partner would be an Austrian company, do get in touch with us, and we'll be happy to work with you on that. Thanks.
Thank you. Next is Belgium, and I invite Michelle Gartland. Michelle?
Thank you. Merci et bienvenue au Belgique. While also not the next biggest country, I will argue it's probably the most centrally located in Europe. Belgium is a small open economy here in Europe, highly dependent upon exports. 80% of the GDP in Belgium comes from exports. So the Belgians know what they're doing when they are exporting. Main exports are in chemicals, vehicles and transport, and machinery and equipment. And some of the large sectors here are also the chemical and the food processing industry. Belgium has the 2nd largest port in Europe, which has led it to be a significant logistics hub. And it's attracted the big name distributors and manufacturers who are seeking access to, EU's largest markets, such as France and Belgium and Germany, and Belgium is right in the middle of that. Which brings me to probably one of Belgium's biggest assets is its central location. Within a 750 kilometer range is over 250 million consumers and 60% of Europe's purchasing power. So it's well set up for that. If we look at the next slide, we look a little bit closer at the manufacturing industry. Belgium has always been a manufacturing country, and they have been one of the strongest growers of industrial manufacturing output when you compare them to other EU member states, and as well looking at it in a G20 context. And there's a few reasons for this. One was the switch of Belgian manufacturing towards smart manufacturing. They were hailed as early adopters of innovation and integration. 2, they have a strong focus on and investment on R&D in the sector, both at a federal level and a regional level. And that includes everything from tax incentives to direct government funding, which has really helped grow the industry and transition it. And the 3rd is the strong ecosystem to support industry and as well as academia, which has been backed by progressive policies designed to support the industry. So if I take a quick look at one of those, if we look at Flanders, which is where most of Canada's trade and investment comes from, there is a program called Made Different. And they have a budget of 20 million euros a year, access to 10 specialized universities within Belgium focused on advanced manufacturing, and over 300 researchers who help manufacturers transition to be a factory of the future. I mean, that's quite substantial when you think there's only a population of 11 million in Belgium. Once these companies have switched and made this transition, they can apply to be a factory of the future. And this is a concept which has become very popular here in Belgium and is now being rolled out through Europe. Jay Myers was one of the keynote speakers at a Factory of the Future event. And what it does is it takes manufacturing companies through the rigorous process to show their investment in smart processes, digitization, employees, energy and materials, among others. And they can win the prestigious title of being a Factory of the Future. And once they get this title, it gives them a sense of, commitment and investment that they've made to be, one of the best in manufacturing. It's in its 7th year of the program. There's 38 Factories of the Future in Belgium now. So these 38 companies have invested over 1.7 billion to upgrade their processes and have created on average 17% more jobs. This Factory of the Future concept is being rolled out through Europe, France, Netherlands, Germany, Denmark, Italy, Spain, Poland, and Slovenia. So you can expect to see much more of this accreditation system coming into Europe. My last point on this is CETA. Through CETA, which was alluded to earlier, Canadians can have tariff-free exports to Europe. And this can be a huge differential for a Canadian firm. So depending upon your product or technology, you could be saving up to 14%, for example, on electric parts or equipment, or up to 8% in the medical device and equipment sector. So if you compare yourself as a Canadian exporter to a US exporter, you may be able to have a price advantage of up to 8 or 14%, which could be very appealing to a Belgian importer or a European importer. So to conclude, we're a small team here in Belgium, small but adaptable. And I encourage you to think of Belgium as a soft landing into Europe. It's more forgiving than some of the larger neighbors, more competitive, France and Germany. But here you'll get a seasoned exporter partner, and that can take you into the rest of Europe. Please do not hesitate to contact us if we can help you come into our market. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we are going to do Germany, and I invite Ghislain Robichaud and Thorsten Henke. I think, Ghislain, you're going to start?
No, it's we decided that I would start.
Okay, Thorsten, sorry about that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Thorsten Henke. I've been with the Trade Commissioner Service for more than 20 years. First, I think there's not much to say about Germany being still the European powerhouse with respect to manufacturing and the production sector. Over the last 10 years or so, the producing sector without the construction portfolio has been accounting for about 22% of the entire value creation. That's about 7 points more than the European average, being around 15%. About 2 years ago, Germany adopted a high-tech strategy with an enormous part of AI. This AI initiative was propped up last summer when the government and the industry added another 2 billion euro, particularly to improve G5 and also develop G6 over the next 4 or 5 years or so. The AI strategy was updated a few weeks ago, included some adjustment measures such as COVID-related stuff, climate protection, sustainability, but also in general European and global networking. Basically, the 3 main industries and industry associations behind these developments are the ZVEI, which is the Electronics and Electrical Engineering Association of Germany. Second, the Bitkom, the ICT and ICT security industry in Germany. And third, the largest association, VDMA, the Association for Mechanical and Plant Engineering, with about 6,500 members. A look at the right side of the slide shows that the situation, there's lots of dynamism and dynamics in this portfolio. Particularly, Germany has seen an enormous growth of AI startups over the last 3 years, particularly a 62% increase between 18 and 19. And despite COVID, another 15% about between 19 and 20. Germany is, of course, a traditional and large country known for trade shows. And for advanced manufacturing industrial machinery, it's particularly the Hannover Messe, followed by Automatica in Munich. But there are a couple of other shows like Druba for printing industry in Düsseldorf, K for plastics, Fakuma in the southwestern part for logistics and material handling. And it's important in Germany to know that a number of larger companies have developed their proprietary solutions, but they're also looking for add-ons because they're steering towards also developing AI and Industry 4.0 as new business models within their own companies. Over to you, Gislain.
Thank you, Torsten. I think it's perfect pickup from there. What I want to focus on is just briefly to tell you about Germany as a perfect partner for Canada on the co-innovation side. We've got a number of programs going on that we can talk about. It has been quite successful here between NRC, IRAP, and the German partner, and on different levels. So this is something that if you're considering, I would love you to see you here. And I think the few statistics and things I want to point out to you that you may want to consider when you're thinking of Germany. For instance, Germany is spending 3% of its GDP on R&D. So you should look at the statistics and look at how it compares to other countries in the world. And I'll tell you that Canada, we're at a 1.2% of our GDP. And what is important about Germany is that a very significant number, 30-40% of this, is actually invested by the private sector. So the total expenditure of Germany in R&D in relation to Europe is actually about 30% based on the 28 EU states. So really, it's quite impressive when you're looking at R&D activities, which bring me to the point of I want to talk about this really thing that emerged and was developed here, Industry 4.0. And I think what's important to understand when you look at this, it's actually, I try to define this as an experiment. It's really not done. Siemens has a perspective on this, Festo Didactics as an approach. You had KUKA Robotics, you had a lot of companies being involved in this, and they're all looking for different type of solutions. So if you have technologies that are able to bring in some more intelligence and making this happen in terms of sensors or other kind of activities, that's very key. A few characteristics that are very key to German success, but I think it's also an advantage for Canada working with Germany. If you look at here, they have very strong integration between their applied research institute and the technical universities. So for Fraunhofer, for most of you have heard, over 75, 77 institutes. All the directors of Fraunhofer Institute are also professors at universities, and they actually are into these technical universities. So they really keep this kind of a flow of innovation going. And one of the things that to mention is that dual education, that really is a trademark of Germany. They choose very early those who are going to go to universities and who are going to go to technical universities or technical trades. I mean, there are certainly questions to be raised there, but this is part of the model that makes them quite successful. Clusters is another aspect. They've been like us, but they've been at it for about 20-25 years. So Germany has been in clusters, supporting clusters for over, I would say, 25 years. So long areas of that of activities. And the important part is that it's the value chains is super integrated, like obviously on the aviation sector with Airbus, which is a German French company, but right now Alstom has also bought Bombardier, as you know, or is in the process of buying. Well, the acquisition is finished, so all the manufacturing when it comes to rail and train also will be kind of co-shared between France and Germany, but also a bunch of integration with other, like with Austria here, with Czech Republic, with with Belgium. So overall, I would finish to say that I think for you, if you're in this field of innovation, wanting to be part of bringing new service and product and solution, Germany is a good base for you, as you're really able to come on board and really target these neighboring markets with which Germany has very strong integration. So I'll stop there, and we'd love to be able to chat with you from whatever your interests are, more on the commercial or more on the co-innovation point.
Thank you, Ghislain. I'd invite Samina Gureshi. She's going to present the Netherlands.
Thank you, Frank, and welcome to the Netherlands, everybody. There's just over 17 million people that live here. It's a small country geographically, internationally oriented with global impact, definitely punches above its weight. And it's number 5 on the Global Innovation Index from 2020. It's a key trade, investment, and innovation partner for Canada, and bilateral trade has been increasing in the last few years since the application of CETA. It's got a central and strategic location. It's part of the Benelux gateway to Europe. The Port of Rotterdam and the Amsterdam Airport are part of the excellent logistics and transportation infrastructure. There's an international business climate. English is widely spoken, and a similar business culture to Canada. Industry 4.0 here is known as smart industry. And in 2018, the Dutch government launched the Smart Industry Implementation Agenda, aiming to have the most flexible and digitally connected production network in Europe by 2021. And the government's categorized all technological or smart solutions for manufacturing as high-tech systems and materials. And it's one of 9 top sectors that the Dutch government has identified as particularly strong, and it stimulates cooperation between companies and knowledge institutes to drive innovation and competitiveness. So these top sectors are similar to the Canadian super clusters. And HDSM, it's divided into 17 subsectors. I won't go through all of them. A few of them include healthcare, automotive, and photonics. And Holland High Tech was created to assist the top sector with creating more public-private partnerships, get more companies involved in the industry, and give information on funding and research opportunities. And it's oriented around 5 themes, which are climate, sustainability, health, security, and mobility. Now, the Dutch are strong in a number of areas, including semiconductors, smart energy, smart health, robotic surgery, smart mobility, aerospace materials, and agri-tech. And you can see some of the leading companies on the slide there. And the advanced manufacturing industry, it's pioneering a variety of technology, including robotics, AI, 3D printing, IoT, and big data. And the Dutch have a strong digital infrastructure, as well as a strong collaboration tradition in clusters and networks. And there are a number of clusters here that range from agri-food to chemical to logistics, sustainable energy, and high tech. And those clusters give an overview of the key players in the sector, which may help Canadian companies and organizations identify potential partners. And at the embassy, we see some opportunities to cooperate on themes such as semiconductors and photonics, smart mobility, composites, and medical manufacturing, to name a few. Now, I just wanted to say a few words about some of these clusters. The first one being Brainport Eindhoven. So that's a technology region in the southern part of the Netherlands. It's home of Philips. And there you can find what's called the high-tech campus. It's an area where companies and researchers are developing future technologies and products. They call it the smartest square kilometer in Europe. And in that region, there's also a recent innovation project called Digital Factory of the Future. which is allowing manufacturing companies to experiment with new technology and sharing data between the company and outside into the supply chain. So the next slide, please. There's a highly collaborative Dutch life sciences and health cluster working on medical manufacturing innovations, including solutions to COVID-19. And automotive, I'd mentioned, it's one of the subsectors of the HTSM top sector. It prioritizes powertrains and solutions and components for smart mobility with strong players in navigation and localization. There's also what's called the Automotive Campus. That's in the Brainport region. And it's the former Volvo Nedcar Development Center. And there they work on turning innovation into business. Now, in order to develop and test and implement the smart industry solutions, the Dutch have created more than 40 field labs, and including one in 3D medical, which is for digitization of surgery. They also have pilot plants, which are a testing ground for new technologies. And we heard at the beginning of the webinar about European platforms. The Dutch are active in a number of them, such as the Eureka Clusters, ITEA, and Penta. And we heard that Canada is an associate member, so it's good to know your NRC IRAP ITA. We've mentioned a couple of events that are virtual. You can contact us for more information, including the Hanover Messe next door in Germany, which usually attracts a significant Dutch participation. I also wanted to mention, for those that may be in cybersecurity, the embassy has a soft landing program by which companies can test out the Dutch market by virtually landing at the Hague Security Delta. And we also have a couple of market reports that might be of interest. We did one recently on agritech, and we're working on one in agri-robotics. So if there was anything in the last two slides that caught your interest and you'd like more information, please get in touch about potential partners, programs, and for market intelligence. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I'd invite Michael Wilmot. He's going to present the Nordic countries. Michael?
Thank you, and welcome everyone to the Nordics. So pleased to talk to you about the Nordic countries here. We're talking about 5 countries in Northern Europe. And I guess the common features of all of them are open pro-trade economies, all have free trade agreements with Canada, Denmark, Sweden, and Finland, of course, by virtue of CETA, which are among the first countries to ratify. But Norway and Iceland also have free trade agreements with Canada through the EFTA agreement, which came to force a number of years before then. And Norway and Iceland are also closely integrated into EU Common Market and EU programs, so that's helpful as well. They are competitive and well-connected markets with a strong focus on innovation, and that is bolstered by their social democratic model. Everyone's heard of the famous Nordic social program. So one important benefit of this is that it allows employees and companies to focus on their careers, on their innovation, and frees them up from being tied down in terms of tied to certain employment and being concerned about the social security net or being unable to access education. And that's driving a lot of the innovative model. And then from that also de-risks innovation in terms of how Nordic companies and their employees and their talent approach innovation. They're also very collaborative, and that's borne out in a number of ways, notably the EU and multilateral programs that you've heard about, already working with Canada in a number of Horizon 2020 projects and soon Horizon Europe projects. Also under Eureka, as you heard about, even just recently, there's a number of multilateral calls in which Canada and at least one other Nordic country participated, including in clean energy, advanced materials, some specific to COVID-19 technologies and electronic components. And they themselves, amongst the 5 of them, have a Nordic Innovation Fund that supports and coordinates innovation projects among stakeholders in the 5 countries as well. And that could be an opportunity for Canadian funders to participate in as well. But in addition, and perhaps more interestingly, the private sector is very active in open innovation and maintains a lot of accelerator programs for us to engage startups in improving value chain technologies. Some examples where we've seen Canadian companies get involved include ABB out of Sweden with their Synerleap Innovation Fund, which has a Canadian automation startup involved. There's also the Mobility X Lab out of Sweden, involving big names in telecom and in automotive. Ericsson and Volvo, you may have heard of them. And again, they've had a number of Canadian companies being pulled into that accelerator. Here in Denmark, where I'm based, there's been the Vestas Circular Economy Sustainable Development Goal Challenge, which was a collaboration with us at the embassy to identify innovators with circular economy technology, specifically around recycling wind turbine blades, materials, processes for dealing with complex composites and how at end of life and how to recycle them and make usable products. And we're most of the way through this challenge, and already 4 Canadian companies have been shortlisted by Vestas, with the hope that at least 2 of them will be invited to do some sort of innovation collaboration with Vestas on this technology. And in defense, we even have Kraken Robotics out of Newfoundland and Labrador, specializing in marine subsurface sonar technologies, has got a good contract with the Danish Navy, and will be establishing a Center of Excellence to collaborate with Danish suppliers in that area as well. Next slide, please. So to highlight some of the Nordic clusters where we see opportunity for Canadian companies amongst us and the 5 embassies that we have in the Nordic region, starting with automotive, as hinted at with the X Mobility Accelerator, there's big companies like Volvo, Scania, SKF in Sweden that are there to collaborate with you. A broad theme that crosses many sectors, and perhaps what Nordics are maybe perhaps known for, is decarbonization. All countries have very aggressive decarbonization targets, and that's driving their leadership in this sector. Vestas is a good example of wind, but also Grundfos and Danfoss out of Denmark, dealing with district heating and industrial heating and cooling technologies. Equinor out of the oil and gas sector in Norway is very much transitioning to carbon capture and storage. And you also have Northvolt Alfa Laval in Sweden. In defense, you have Saab in Sweden, also notable for their involvement in the F-35 fighter program, and potentially a bidder on Canada's fighter replacement program. But also you have Nammo out of Norway and Finland, and also Denmark recently announcing significant new investments in Arctic capabilities, which could be interesting for Canadian companies. In forestry and mining, a lot of focus on sustainability, but also next generation products for either critical minerals, materials, or in the case of the forestry sector, fiber technologies for advanced products. In medtech and biotech, there's the Medicon Valley Alliance between Denmark and Sweden, again, looking at a number of new technologies, a big focus on virtual and e-health and related technologies for that in terms of improving healthcare outcomes. And of course, we have Novo Nordisk out of Denmark, Novozymes on the biotechnology side, and Getinge in Sweden. Ocean tech is another area where a lot of these technologies and industrial processes come together. Norway is moving forward in this in a big way, and this is some of those key clusters where there could be opportunities to collaborate. Here in Denmark, we have Blue Denmark as well, and of course, shipping giant Maersk, which is very interested in marine digitization and logistics optimization technologies. And more generally with the advanced manufacturing sector, you have areas such as robotics and industrial processes. We have MADE, the Manufacturing Academy of Denmark, here in Denmark. They're actually a member of the EU Cluster Collaboration Program and visited Toronto 2 years ago when they brought a delegation, and they're very keen to collaborate. But also out of Norway, some clusters focus on industrial processes. And the PIA network in Sweden, very active in Eureka and very interested in collaborating with NGen companies. So how to engage? We have a common email address. We can reach any of the Nordic offices, any of the trade commissioners there. So you're welcome to follow up with that after the webinar. We have a number of market reports coming out in the coming weeks, focused on artificial intelligence, forest bioeconomy, ocean tech, Arctic defense, and financial technologies. And also some of our key events coming up, again, mostly virtual, that you'll have a chance to participate in, or we expect significant Nordic participation. So again, you're welcome to have a look at those and follow up with us if you're interested in participating. And that's all I have to say. Thanks for your attention, and looking forward to working with you.
Thank you very much. On to our final presentation. It's the Trade Commissioner Services, and I invite Sue Roth to give that presentation. Hi, Sue.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, all. Thanks for joining. I'm here as kind of an anchor and simply a reminder for NGen members, partners, that the Trade Commissioner Service is what you've heard from our trade commissioners, and there is a regional office network available to work with you in real time in Canada, helping you prepare and offering these services, as well as and complemented by the many trade commissioners that you heard from today in our European network. And so that it's always a possibility for you to reach in to your regional office network, depending where you're located, your firm. In every province, there is a regional office. There is trade commissioners who will follow with you and help you along providing these services and connecting you to trade commissioners in market. Many of you might be very familiar with our colleague Greg Rust, who works for our Ontario regional office and is our official kind of liaison with NGen, and probably has helped connect you on business and innovation efforts throughout the past years. Please feel free to call upon him again. His contacts will be at the end of this. Just, again, just reminding and encouraging that there are lots of enthusiasm and willingness to make these connections. We can even, I think, extend the honorary title of Trade Commissioner to Melanie, Wolfgang, others who are there to help facilitate all of these connections and work, even if not part of the formal network. There is absolute desire to see these connections being made, and I think that's what you've heard today. This is the quick overview, is the 4 core services that the Trade Commissioner Service does offer in preparation for international markets. That usually happens with us here in the region in Canada, that we would help you strategize your business and innovation strategy, write it down, brainstorm with us, submit it to Greg, myself, others. We're great on working with feedback and connections and facilitation. So please make those connections. Market potential assessment, you've heard again, the willingness from trade commissioners and senior trade commissioners at the various posts, their ability to give you that sense of how and what kind of resources and connections can be made to help for you to find traction in market with partners of all stripes. So make use of that key service as well. We also use identification of qualified contacts, and this is our ability to be able to make those connections for you, warm connections, warm referrals, either in a mission format or individually, and as well as commercial problem solving. We are there to lean on, not to be involved particularly in legal or financial disputes, but we're able to provide guidance and support through advocacy. So just a reminder, again, Greg Rust, key man, key name to know. Don't hesitate to reach to Greg, don't hesitate to reach to myself or others within the regional office network, and we'll be happy to make sure that you have the full connection back to the Trade Commissioner Service network writ large.
Thank you, Sue. Great presentation. I'll give a moment. I haven't seen any questions come in, but I will offer a moment before we close up here. I just want to say, as we mentioned before, this presentation will be available to everybody at the NGen website. So you can see here on the lower right-hand corner, it's under the events. It'll be under the archive section. You just go to the page, you'll see Canada, Europe, and Business Opportunities. Just click on that. You'll see both the slide presentations and the recording of this event, which we will put up in probably a day or so. Again, I'm Frank DeFalco. If you have any contacts or any questions for NGen, you can always email me. I'm at frank.defalco@ngen.ca. If there's nothing there, I think we will close it there. Thank you, everybody. Oh, I think Jay has something he'd like to say. Jay?
Just apart from thanking everybody for participating today, my question was a very general one. As everybody is now hopefully recovering from pandemic, and yet I know a lot of companies are still struggling through what that actually means. I was going to just throw out a very general question to everybody about what do you see from the perspective of advanced manufacturing here as the pandemic and is the recovery slowing down investments in the sector, or do you see it actually having the opposite effect and speeding up a lot of the initiatives? And that was to no one in particular.
Does anybody want to jump onto that question or comment on that? Of our speakers, presenters? A little shy?
It's Michael in Denmark. Just to quickly say that the COVID-19 pandemic has been hard on the Nordics as everywhere, but again, because of the focus on advanced manufacturing, there's been perhaps a pivot to operating remotely as much as possible. And also perhaps an appetite for diversification. Again, in sectors where the Nordics are strong, they haven't been hit as hard, but their key markets, let's say in Europe or in Asia or even the United States, have been hit hard. So there's a feeling that even if they're trying to recover and being export-led, they're going to need partners and new opportunities around the world. And that's potentially an opportunity for Canadian companies who can position themselves as a partner for their Nordic partners to consider coming through Canada into North America, while you might work with them to come through to come into Europe. So that's something to keep in mind.
Great, thanks, Mike.
And maybe I'll just quickly add to that from a Belgian perspective. Yes, Jay, things have been, Belgium has been pretty hard hit by COVID, but what we found is the manufacturing sector, particularly in the pharmaceuticals, has really spurred the economy on. And, you know, thanks to the investment that they've made in Belgium into the pharmaceutical industry and the biotech writ large, you know, Belgium has been a hub really here in Europe. And a lot of the vaccine that you're getting over in Canada is coming from Belgium. So that's thanks to the manufacturing excellence. They've been able to scale up and pivot really fast. And that's down to that ecosystem that I mentioned, really strong between government, academia, research, industry, and as well for the logistics hub. I think 20% of the vaccines coming out are coming via Belgium right now into Canada and North America.
Thanks, Michelle.
I guess I would comment very briefly on the fairs. I mean, Germany, I think Torsten has mentioned it. I mean, Anna Messe, Jason, we've been here, and Frank, and it's hard to imagine a big affair. I mean, it's absolutely humongous, medical football. So these fairs are certainly trying to find new ways to come and online and provide some platforms. They've been slow. I mean, they had to cancel a lot of things, and the experience online has probably not been as great. So it'll be interesting because it doesn't appear that they'll be reconvening and it's still being virtually planned for quite a bit of time. But very interesting to see how they will adjust. There certainly is a huge business here. And for those who's not attended, and I think it's very important, I had become a bit, I started to dislike fair over the years before I came to Germany, because I found that they were not super useful because there was not a lot of business happening. Everybody knows that Germany, the way the model works, and they're in their booths and their activities, it's really technical people that are there to really work with you, and it's really impressive that this is still working. Probably it tells a little bit about the conservatism of the German market in that regard. But when it reopens, I would certainly encourage you to think about joining and networking at German fairs, because they're quite effective and really good at what they're doing.
Thanks, Josiane. That reminds me as well. This year, the Hanover Fair will be going virtual again, and we'll be going out to all of our members with ways that you can register to participate in the fair, and as well as in the conference.
Thank you, Jay. Anybody else have any?
And just finally, let me thank everybody. Great to see a number of colleagues again, a number of friends. So hope everybody stays well, and thanks everybody for participating.
Thank you, everybody. And that will end the presentation for today. Have a good day.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.